special form is drifting gently through the winter sky. And like that water, the great to know the truth and let my spirit fly. Ooh, river, oh river, come on and flow through me. Ooh, river, come on and flow through me. As the snowfall is melting in the April sun and dripping from a branch into the stream, so our hearts know that love can melt away the chill and wash us in the truth and make us clean. Ooh, river, oh river, come on and flow through me. Precious river, oh river of truth, come on and flow through me. Oh, lift me, come on and hold me, carry me home. Sacred water and fold me, carry me home. That drop of water is now a part of something more, a river flowing gently to the sea. And like that water, the time has come for us to join a global heart that's made of you and me. Oh river, come on and come on, flow through me. Precious river, oh river, flow through me. Oh, lift me, come on and hold me, carry me home. Sacred waters and hold me, carry me home. Oh, lift me, come on and hold me, carry me home. Sacred waters and hold me, carry me home. Carry me home. Carry me home. Sweet river of life, carry me home.
Hello. All of everyone that is watching on their computer and their jammies, really? Anyway, we love you. So everybody, that just sort of go like this and wave at them. Yeah, we love you. You're loved. You're loved. I'm grateful that we can have that kind of connection for for an audience that may need to hear this. I just was changing this around. I was so moved first service, so moved by the words that we were singing before the prayer. You are seen, you are heard, you are loved for who you are. You are enough, you are complete. You are loved, you are loved, you are loved. You know, what struck me is that if you gather here at the Center for Spiritual Living, this is pretty normal. If you've been here more than once or twice, this is normal. For us to be affirming this for you to be hearing this is normal. Unfortunately, it's not normal for so much of the population in the United States. It's not necessarily normal for people to go to a place of worship and be told that they're enough just as they are. No improvement necessary. And stay tuned because we're going to address this at the end of the talk. Why there's no improvement necessary. Because some of you might be thinking, well, you don't know what I do. Well, whatever you've got going on, somebody else does too, so you're not unique. Get over it. You know, sometimes our badness is just ego. You know, I'm badder than you are. Nobody's as bad as I am if they just knew. Anyway. So I just think this is beautiful. Sometimes it's good to say things out loud. And not all the time. I'm not always going to be asking you to do a call and response, but today just seems important to have it out in the energy, to fill these walls with some energy about how really good we are right now. Just sitting there. No improvement necessary. So instead of saying you are, how about you say, I am seen. I'm heard. I am loved for who I am. I am enough. I am complete. I am loved. When we practice this, and I'll give this back to Beverly because someday she's going to want to sing this song again and go, I know I had some words. This leads me to something that brings us into the same vibration as noble Buddhist teachings. Because if we were to open up a Buddhist text or address, some of the teachings, not necessarily by the Buddha, but Buddhist teachings, if they were addressed to a student, if you were a student and you wanted to read one of the texts, it would start out with, "O nobly born." Oh, nobly born. I am enough. I mean, do you see, it's like from the beginning, it's, oh, I'm already here. I want to talk a little bit about compassion today, and I just sometimes don't know how to put it all together, but I have compassion. I have compassion because I think that many of us suffer from something that's going on in the world right now. And we're looking for an antidote to discouragement, pessimism, anxiety, and depression. Probably not you, because you're nobly born. and you know you're nobly born, or you've just been told that. But it's rampant in the world. I know that for two reasons. First of all, studies say so. What I love about the internet, and some people say, oh, they know what you're thinking and what you're doing. It's like, I like it. I like it. I'm interested in certain things, so things are fed to me. Anything about mental health, I'm getting it. Anything about religion, I'm getting it. Anything about horses, I've got it. I know what to feed my horses, and I know how to think, and it's all being fed to me because that's what I'm interested in. So I get these studies, and one of the studies that I've said before, and I'll repeat it again, is that 60% of our population is having more anxiety at any given time than ever before. 60%. Do you know what anxiety does? It is detrimental to your mind, to your body, and to your relationships and everything that you do out in the world. Anxiety is a plague. I mean, we think about measles. I don't like measles. I'm not like, don't vaccinate, but let's vaccinate for anxiety. You know? And part of today is me wanting to give you a vaccine. You will have to take it. I mean, if you want it, it's not like, like here. And here's the bad news. You'll have to take it over and over again. How many of you have brushed your teeth once in the last year? Those that you raised your hand, that's bad. If you've raised your hand that you brushed your teeth once, don't breathe on anybody. See, this thing that I'm going to talk about needs to be done as a practice. Practice, practice, practice makes perfect. And you know what perfect is? Perfect means that we have found our wholeness. When Jesus said, "Be ye therefore perfect as your Father in heaven is perfect," oh, come on, that's a bar. That was unattainable. What it meant is, perfect means nothing missing, nothing wrong. We have to find our nothing missing, nothing wrong. And we live from that. And in that is the vaccine for anxiety, depression, hopelessness. Doesn't mean stuff doesn't happen, but when you come from your cinder, you move through stuff in ways that you couldn't move with the same amount of freedom, which, okay, so I know I had something to say. Anyway, now what's so funny is that advertisers, if I'm talking to any admin right now, please forgive me, advertisers spend a lot of money. They invest big bucks in finding out what people want and then using what they want to sell their product. And what people want is peace of mind and being centered. It's showing up like magazines like Mindfulness and Time magazine doing a mindfulness special edition, mindfulness apps, more meditation opportunities, mindfulness being taught at Boeing by one of our congregants, by the way. Being open to that. Mindfulness showing up in schools. And the advertisers have not missed a trick. So I'm going to give you some slogans. They could actually describe us. Here's a slogan: the power of softness. The journey is the destination. Grace, space. Live every moment. Choose happiness. Don't those sound wonderful? Yes. The power of softness is for Wonder Bread. The journey is the destination is Pepsi. Grace and space is Jaguar. Live every moment is a Kia sedan. And choose happiness is Coca-Cola. They know that what people are looking for is an internal experience, and so they're selling their product to verify that. But I'm not sure that that's really going to get you what you really want. Today's talk is about good heart health, and I came up with that, I think, because I was touched by, I just want us to be healthier. One of the things that I'm doing is, in that little White House across the street, on Mondays, we started a group for people that are having physical challenges, to just rest in spirit, to have a soul spa, to let go of the anxiety that can happen around what's going on with my body, which creates the chemicals that makes more happen in the body. Getting off that treadmill for an hour. I want us to be healthy because I care about you, which is sort of our theme, which is compassion. Compassion is defined as caring about the well-being of others. And if I was a doctor, I'd tell you about what tests to take. And if I was a nutritionist, I'd tell you about what to eat, or what vitamins would be helpful, or what herbs to take. If I was a psychologist, I would tell you to stop your stinking thinking. Oh, I can do that. Okay, stop your stinking thinking. Anyway, we would address compassion and wellness in the model that is available to us. We care about people, and we tell our children to not put their hands on the stove, and we care. And compassion, as it starts to work you, expands beyond you, and you just care more and more and more. So I care about myself, I care about my family, and I care about you. And so I want to share some things with you that I think may help with this thing called depression and anxiety and just jitteriness. And so I will tell you the truth. I have a spiritual practice. I have a deep spiritual practice. And for the first time in my life, last year I had high blood pressure. Not nervous, but up for me, because I've usually had low blood pressure. So even going up, it's like I realize that I am being affected by and stressed by some of the things that are happening in our community, the move and so forth, but also just I look out in the world and I get stressed. So if it's happening to me, it might be happening to you. So I'm going to share with you my practices. And by the way, the last time I got my blood pressure checked, nothing has changed. I didn't lose the damn weight she told me to lose. It's like I've been fat forever and I haven't had high blood pressure, so why now? So, thank you for giggling. It's better than... I want to share with you what happened and why it might come down, because I've really had to concentrate and focus. I cannot let this world affect this place. So practices are going to come in 3 different forms. I'm going to give you a sort of a broad, culturally acceptable practice that you can take to your work environment and you can talk about with any of your relatives, no matter what side of the table they sit on. I'm going to talk about how the science of mind and how we can think a little bit differently, and then I'm going to talk about the science of spirit and how we need to view ourselves differently. And all 3 of these I've been using. First of all, what I've noticed is that spiritual practices, especially the practice of the presence of God, has been rebranded for the broader audience, and it's been called mindfulness. You can do anything if you just call it mindfulness. That's why they can take it into businesses. It sure is the practice of the presence of God to me, but we'll just call it mindfulness, which just means that it's being present. It was so cute that I found out that there's a meditation center in Northern California, and as you turn off the road to get to that center, there's a sign out that says, "Yield to the present." I want one out here so bad. Somebody make that sign, "Yield to the present." And so here's some ways to do that. And one of the ways is just to be present. Just be present. Even if you're bored, be present. We don't do present very well. Drive by any bus stop and nobody's just sitting there relaxing. They're on their phone. We can't gather and I was noticing it even myself. I would listen to the music and I was just being present, but there was a part of me sometimes that just wanted to see if I got an answer to my email. It's so hard, it's so addictive. If it's not this addiction, it's another addiction. It's just do, because it's hard to just be present. What would you find out about yourself if you were? And it doesn't even have to be a long time. Yes, you could go away for 10 days and sit on a hard floor. Go ahead. I, for one, am lazy and like comfort. And I'm a very spiritual person. And I've noticed this is just as hard in the middle of my day to just stop and pay attention. If you closed your eyes right now, take an experiment, close your eyes. Would you actually remember the people sitting next to you if you hadn't come in with them? Were you present to who sat down by you? Were you present to who's behind you? It's very difficult to just be present. And yet, every day we could just do that. 10 minutes at a time, just be present. Even let the thoughts of fear come up, or let the thoughts of boredom come up, or let the thoughts of I've got stuff to do come up, but stay present. A lot of meditation practices are about, no. There's another meditation practice that you learn in Zen Buddhism, which is, and you're absolutely present to everything because you are that big. You can be present to conflict. You can be present. I've watched people in rooms with people and they weren't reading the room because they were in themselves. They didn't see the look on the face. They didn't see how the breathing changed. They didn't see the body posture. They didn't see the flow of energy and thoughts. We can do that if we were just practice presence. And if you're going to practice presence, you might as well watch your thoughts, because thoughts will show up if you're present. I mean, they're all going on all the time, but then, oh my goodness, I have thoughts. And a spiritual person, I'm not supposed to have thoughts. I'm supposed to just be able to zone. I mean, what the heck? No. Thoughts will happen. Thoughts can be self-generating. They can be flybys. Just don't catch them. Don't follow them. Just notice them. That's a thought. That's a thought. That's a thought. Which leads me to the next practice, which is, if you want to, and I do this in self-mastery and in other classes, it really bugs people, is to just be present and just mark every time you have a thought. And people will be horrified at the amount of thoughts they had in 3 minutes or 5 minutes, and then judge themselves, and then not want to do it anymore. I had 27 thoughts. Yeah, that pretty much means you're going to hell. Might as well just go on a tear, because you can't keep your thoughts out of your mind. I mean, we make stuff up. People have thoughts, but I've noticed that if you continue to do it, without even trying, and honestly, spirituality should be effortless, but we stop at the first effort. But if you continue to watch your thoughts for 5 minutes and make the marks, pretty soon you will find that there's more space in between those marks without effort. They just aren't there as much anymore. And in that space in between thoughts, there is bliss, pure awareness, mastery. It's just mindfulness. The last thing I want to share with you is sometimes just rest and be still. Just rest and be still and slow down. Not only be present for 10 minutes, but just rest. There's so few places we can go where all you're asked to do is be silent. Just be silent. For those of you that like facts, Michigan State University did a study that showed students who practiced mindfulness demonstrated greater speed and accuracy on tests requiring focus. Their brain activity was more efficient and took less effort to complete complicated tests. Mindfulness, just be still, renews the mind. Now, who wouldn't benefit from that? And yet I hear, when I teach self-mastery, I will hear things in other classes, I don't have time for that. 10 minutes of just nothing? When I say 10 minutes of nothing, how many of you go, ugh? Of course, you don't want to show it because, it's cool to be spiritual, but I've done a class on self-mastery, and I'm not self-mastery, mysticism, and 10 minutes every day, and people were honest enough to say that was really difficult to just listen. No crutch, no music. Just be open and listen for 10 minutes. It's not natural. I'm sorry, it's not normal. Because we've become addicted to activity. It's very natural. So then let's get into the science of mind, which is what we teach. We are a science of mind philosophy, which is all about what we think. This is the land of affirmation. Let's get affirmation. I don't know, I just got this thing going on. And it's really easy to affirm, and with great power, that I'm stuck, I can't, I don't know how. I'm doing this all over again. I've had this before. I'll never get. How many of you have heard that? How many of you have said that? Do you know truth heals? Jack Kornfield, who is a prominent teacher of Buddhism and also a trained psychologist, said, anger, blame, conflict, and resentment arise out of our fear. When we are afraid, our body tightens, our heart constricts, our mind is possessed, and we cannot live wisely. The way out of that is to be mindful. To be mindful that this is going on, and then to have the focus of mind to tell ourselves something different, such as, I'm peaceful, I'm calm, and I'm at ease. Let's say that. I'm peaceful, I'm calm, I'm at ease. Now, I must say that it's hard to be peaceful, calm, and at ease after we've been triggered. Far better to start the day with I'm peaceful, I'm calm, and I'm at ease. And triggers happen. Trigger happened just this morning. And I remember telling somebody at work, they came in for some advice, and I said, I have to tell you the truth. When I am calm, when I'm centered, when I've done my practice, this would be so easy to handle. And I also have to admit that when I'm not calm and I'm not centered and I haven't done my practice, this is really a big deal. It all depends upon where I'm coming from. I love this book, The Eye of the Storm. It is stormy, but there's a calm that resides in all of us, and when we are functioning out of that calm, we're not tossed around. So here's another affirmation for you. I live from my calm center of love. I am the eye of the storm. Let's say that. I live from my calm center of love. I am the eye of the storm. Best to say it first thing. What I am so grateful. One of the biggest blessings that I have is that I have a long commute to work. Well, it's 40 minutes, but 35 miles. Some of you go 40 minutes to go cross town, so I can't complain. But the commute is a perfect opportunity for me to tell myself what I need to remember so that when I do move out into my world, I'm coming from a calm place. I am centered. I encourage you to do that, to do your mindfulness, watch your thoughts, do your affirmations, watch how your thoughts change. Watch how there's more spaciousness in your world. Watch how you're less resistant, less how you're less reactive. Then there is the science of spirit, which is what I really want to get to, which means we need to shift more into our spiritual identification. Even though we have heard, and some of us even believe, we are a spiritual being having a human experience, most of us act like we're a human being striving to be spiritual. Striving to be spiritual. Wanting to be spiritual. We need to be more spiritual. I'm not spiritual enough. That's a thought. Just go like that. So how many of you have had that thought? Then just make a mark. That's a thought. That's just a thought. It's just a thought. there's a Jungian analysis, and there's a Jungian psychologist, Robert A. Johnson, who said, curiously, and he's worked with lots of people, curiously, people resist the noble aspects of their shadow more strenuously than they hide their dark side. Now, a shadow, for those of you that just need to be reminded, a shadow is that part of ourself that we're unaware of. And we've heard about shadow work. Who's heard about shadow work? It's where you embrace that part of yourself that you don't like, that you have hidden. What he found is more people are willing to embrace the dark sides of themselves than the light of themselves. It is more disruptive to find you have a profound nobility of character than to find out that you're a bum. Less disruptive. The Buddha said if we look carefully and truthfully at ourselves, we find the possibility of being more compassionate, more awake, and more free. If it were not possible to free the heart from the entanglement of greed, hate, and fear, I would not have taught you so. The Buddha. So, I want to give you a practice for re-identifying yourself. Meister Eckhart said, for those of you that are still have a thought there that, Jesus was perfect, but I'm not. By the way, you were told that. That wasn't a revelation. Meister Eckhart, the Jesuit priest from the Middle Ages, said, there was never been but one begotten Son. We are all the begotten. We're all the begotten. It's not just one, it's all of us are begotten of God. So I want to use a little Jewish tradition, and this comes from one of my favorite authors, Rabbi Rami Shapiro. And in chapter 1 of Genesis, it says, how many of you know Genesis, or heard of Genesis? Besides the wonderful Center for Spiritual Living in the South, it means beginning. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. And he made man in his image and likeness. But the Torah tells us that we are made in the image of God, but not the likeness. So the further teaching in this is that we're made in the image, but not the likeness yet. Because image means God made manifest, just as the wave manifests the ocean. You get to see the ocean by seeing the wave. Likeness means we have the potential to act in a godly manner. So we're made in the image of God, and we can have the likeness if we act in a godly manner. It means at any moment we can be peaceful, calm, at ease, and compassionate. At any moment we can be the likeness of God. And God intends us to be godly, to honor the image that we were born into. When we are like God, we honor the image of God. Now, I love it. This is all, I got it. It's like I like this airy, fairy, spooky stuff. I could have been a philosopher. That, I'm sure, would have gotten me a bunch of jobs. Anyway. But to Rabbi Shapiro, this is not just a metaphor, it's actual. So I'm going to have, let's see, Dennis. Dennis, would you come up here because you're tall? So I'm going to show you something that he talks about. And I'll show it on Dennis, and then you're going to use this on each other. Not use it. I know some of you are going to leave. Oh my God, we're going to use it on each other. Just pay attention, breathe deeply. It's okay. Okay, get up on here. Great. So in the Hebrews do not say the name of God, Yahweh. It's just letters. They do that because you're not supposed to say the name of God. But the letters look like to us YHVH. YHVH. They've got their words, and I'm hoping I'm saying them right. Yod, He, Yav, He. Hope I said that right. But It doesn't matter. What's so interesting is the way that they are written. The way they're written in vertical actually means that they take the shape of a human being. We are the Word made flesh. So, the first, oh, you are tall. I can do this. Can everybody see him? My essence is going to go over there and slap you in a minute. No, Jennifer Bundy and I have been friends for what, over 30 years? Yeah, we're friends. She knows I'm teasing her. Okay, so the first letter of this yod is a little letter, and it looks kind of like a 7. So with your finger, do 7. Okay, so 7. The next letter looks like an H, but in Hebrew, it looks like this. In Hebrew, this. The next letter, interestingly enough, has a little curl and then down. So, trunk. And then we got that little H-y thing again, which really looks like, if you draw the letters vertically, it looks like the figure of a human being. Now, what I find fascinating is I've been to the Temple of Man, and they've shown me pictures, and I've squinted hard in the temple that's in Luxor, and I'm like, it doesn't look like a man. This looks like a man. So I'd like you to face another person. Thank you, Dennis. I'd like you to face another person. And yes, stand up. Now listen to me before you begin, because I love at first service I worked out all the kinks. So please be quiet so you can listen. What I saw first service is that people were trying to do this at the same time, and their hands were flopping in front of each other. So I'd like you to take the time to see the Word of God made flesh. That the image of God is a human being. So with reverence, I want you to trace the Word on the person in front of you. With reverence. One person at a time, and then change. Ready, set, go. When you're done, become quiet. That's when I'll know we're ready for the next part. When you're done, become quiet. And then look at the person that you traced the image with and say, you are the image of God. You are the Word made flesh. Thank you. You may be seated. Now, we were born as the image of God, but the likeness of God is always a choice. When we choose to move into our discomfort and our safety mechanisms and be compassionate and wise and strong of character, we are allowing ourselves to be the likeness like God. This is what Rabbi Shapiro says. It is vital that you know who you are if you are to live with compassion. You cannot fake compassion. How many of you have tried? Authentic compassion is the natural response to the simple truth of your being one with all that is. I love it. Compassion is the simple truth of your being one with all that is. You are God manifest as you. Or, as it says in the Upanishads, thou art that. He goes on to say, there is a Jewish legend that says each and every one of us has an angel who walks before us calling out, behold the image and likeness of God. You must honor your own angel and hear everyone else's angel as well. You must see yourself and the world as God manifest in time and space. And when you do, you will naturally engage life with grace, humor, and lovingness. Listen, so do you see that when we see who we are and who we're in front of, we don't have to make it up. We don't have to try to be nice. We don't have to confront trial and the stuff of life and just smile. Grin and bear it goes away. Real holiness is effortless. It is what the Taoists call the Wu Wei, acting without coercion. You don't try to be kind or patient, you simply are kind and patient because you don't work at it. And because you don't work at it, you don't take credit for it. It's just a gift. You receive it and share it. I love that. You don't work at it. So what this is bringing back to me is like when I remember to be centered, I respond differently. So if I get anxious, if I get depressed, and sometimes I read the news and I get depressed. If I overreact to how somebody's responding to me, if I take it personally, I can't try to not take it personally. How many of you have done that? Yeah, don't take it personally. Yeah, right. It is personal. I know it is. It's just it's a warning light. If I do that, it's like the warning lights on your dashboard. Oil needed, centering needed, silence needed, re-identification needed, prayer needed, community needed, God needed to express now, and then the engine or our life runs more smoothly. Let's end with this. Put your hand on your heart. I am nobly born. I am the eye of the storms around me. At my center is all peace, all truth, all love. I am God's expression of compassion. And so it is.